permiso, buenas tardes. Hello, dear community, English teachers around the world. From Ecuador, I send my warm greetings. Andres Rodriguez and World Language Academy. We are so glad to invite you, and thank you so much for coming here in this morning. Webinars are contribution and special part in regards to EFL teachers' professional development, so you can participate in actively and learn from these webinars. Today, we have a special guest from TESOL, no? Sir Miguel Campos, he is our special guest with a very interesting topic. No, I will share with you in the screen his biodata. Okay, he comes from Mexico and he holds a bachelor in English language teaching by the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes, a master degree in administration and leadership by Universidad Autónoma del Noreste, Campus Torreón, coach, and he's currently studying in PhD in educational science. He has taken several courses in human development and theology. He has the head of the language department in Universidad Tecnológica del Norte de Aguascalientes. Thank you so much and welcome, Mr. Miguel, no, for being here in our webinars.
Thank you, Mr. Andres. Thank you for the invitation. It is my honor.
Okay, so it's our privilege, Mr. Miguel. So our teachers will be interested and will be asking you questions. I think when they raise the hand or maybe when they, until the end, when they ask, they have interest to know something. Your topic is very interesting and thank you for sharing with us the results of your PhD, no? I remember you told me, you mentioned that these are results of research, no, that you were doing, no? In this moment, Mr. Miguel, I'm going to activate the, so you can share with us the screen in this moment. Thank you so much. So you can start.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, let's start. Well, I want to tell you that what we're going to be doing during this presentation, I'm going to talk, first we're going to have an activity in a Kahoot, so get ready with your cell phone, and then I'm going to tell you why am I doing this. Andres just mentioned that this is part of my PhD paper, and yeah, basically these are the results of what I have been reading during this very complex process of writing a PhD paper. And then we're going to be studying something about neuroscience, neuroeducation, things about the brain. We're going to watch some videos. Then we are going to talk about how can we improve our teaching style using neurodidactics. And then at the end, we can have questions. So that's what we are going to do. And if you're ready, well, I'm ready. Well, can you please just tell me if you can see my presentation?
Yes, Mr. Miguel, we can see it.
Perfect then. So, well, first of all, I have to tell you why? Why I decided to do this? Well, since I was a little kid, I was a very terrible student. I was not a very smart student, and I didn't have the best grades. And well, I was like, I think I was an average student, but my parents took me to English lessons, and I really enjoyed it. Why? Because in the English classroom, I could do many things like playing, having fun, and I loved learning English. So I had lots of fun, and then I decided to become an English teacher. But during my entire preparation to be an English teacher, there were many things that I like, but I never found like good answers for me, at least. They were just pieces of knowledge about total physical response or the Suggestiopedia or these things. But I never really learned things about the brain. And well, now I decided to study my PhD and research something about this. That's why I'm doing this. And I find out that I had many ideas that were wrong. That's why I'm going to invite you to have a Kahoot. And let's see if what we know about neuroeducation and everything is correct or not. So this is the QR, but I'm also having this. So we can join this Kahoot. So I don't know, have you ever used Kahoot? I mean, I'm pretty sure all of you have used Kahoot.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. In order to have some motivation, let me tell you that the first place, second place, and the third place are going to have a special gift. It's going to be a 6 months free license to use Smart English. And well, at the end, we're going to talk about that. But it's going to be some motivation to play this. Dave, thank you, Hilda, Candida, and Karen to be here. I'm going to be just 1 more minute so everyone can join here. Lisa, thank you. And this is in Spanish. I'm very sorry. The Kahoot is going to be in Spanish, but this is going to be the only thing that is going to be in Spanish. So don't worry about it. Abigail, thank you. So don't worry if you have never played Kahoot or if you cannot join. You're going to see the answers and you're going to have the feedback. So let's say 10 seconds and then we start. So let's say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
¿Hay algún enlace para entrar? Quiero entrar.
Why, Ariane? What is happening with you?
No puedo entrar a Kahoot.
Let
Me too.
let me give you some help.
The
Probably
link, please.
using the link.
The link, please.
There is a link in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving the link, Miss.
So there you are. So yeah, probably we're going to start. Don't worry if you, oh no, well, now lots of people is joining. 203617, rename. Okay, I think we're going to start with these people. Well, now it's joining more people. Yeah, 15. So let's start.
Maria, so interesting group. There's a lot to work on. With
So-
the group, because they're beginner. There's a
We
lot.
use-
I'm sorry about it.
Our brain.
In that group, it's
Sorry, is there any link to enter into the match, to the game, please? Because I'm trying to click on, but it's difficult. I can't.
Dear Miguel, I think you are mute. Maybe you could be mute.
Oh, sorry. Is there people who's more used to brain hemisphere and there's other people for the left hemisphere? Good. It's false. So what do you think when you are a grown up and you still make networks in your brain? Neuronal networks when you are old? What do you think? Is it true? Is it false? Can you create them when you are old? Wow, very good.
Miss Yulisa, congratulations.
Yeah, big champion, expert. So when there is a part of the brain that is damaged, other parts of the brain can help the damaged part? What do you think? Is it true? Is it false? Or once that there is a part that is damaged, it can never be repaired? Good. Lisa, still the champion? What do you think? Once you become an adult, there are things that you cannot learn. Like speaking another language. Very good. So the last question. People learn better when they are taught in his best teaching style or his best intelligence. So let's see who the champion is. Hilda, third place. Matilde, second place. And Charara Yulisa, first place. Yay!
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes. So at the end, can you please give me your email, your Gmail, so I can give you your award and a small gift that I have for you. But at the very end, okay? Well, so let's get back to the presentation. As you could see, there are many myths related to neuroeducation and neurosciences. And these ideas sometimes make very, very difficult to work and to teach like efficiently. Okay, so as I was telling you, I decided to study the role of neuroeducation in the language acquisition process. So first of all, I'm going to talk about neuroeducation. And let me tell you that neuroeducation is like the little child of three parents. Let me introduce you to the parents. One of them is psychology. The other one is pedagogy. And the other one is neuroscience. So as many of you know, because I'm pretty sure that most of you are teachers, well, you know of pedagogy, that is the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. In this case, most of us, well, English language teaching, right? Then also about psychology, that is the scientific study of the human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior in a given context. So in my opinion, most teachers, most English teachers know about pedagogy and some psychology. Not very professional, but we know a little bit. But the other part that is called neuroscience is the very difficult one. Why? Because it was born 20 years ago. So it's like very, very, very young, this field of study. And the neuroscience is the scientific study of the nervous system. It is a multidisciplinary science that combines several subjects to understand the fundamental and emerging properties of neurons, glia, and neural circuits. So these are the three parents of neuroeducation. And as I told you before, it is like 20 years old, all this about neuroscience. And it was born because we could have the technology to study what was happening in the brain. mostly with electroencephalograms. That was the key part of this. So, as I was telling you, neuroscience study the nervous system. This is the nervous system. It consists of the brain, spinal cord, and, well, basically. Well, first I'm going to talk to you about the brain stem. That it helps, or it mainly works for the basic biological functions. We also have the cerebellum, that it works with the motor activity of moving, breathing, that stuff. And finally, we have the cerebrum, that is the colors part is pink, purple, yellow, and blue. And it deals with behavior, the conscious, intelligence, memory, and interpretation. So as you can see, this very first part is basic, kind of more complex, and this is all about abstract, right? So we learn, or there is knowledge, and there is intelligence, and there is memory, because we have neural networks. So how are the neural networks created? Well, they are created because of a process that is called synapse. Synapse happens with the neurons, and this is kind of difficult to explain, but I have a video which is very easy to understand. So I'm going to play it for you.
In the last module, we took first steps towards understanding the.
Can you see it and can you listen to it?
The voluming is quite down, but the screen is good. I can read electrical properties of individual neurons, but it's very, very low.
Okay, I'm gonna fix it. You let me know if it is better.
In the last module, we took first steps towards
Better?
It was good. Yeah, it was better.
Perfect.
In the last module, we took first steps towards understanding the electrical properties of individual neurons. We learned how electrical forces and diffusion give rise to membrane potentials, and we learned how cells can generate and propagate signals called action potentials, or spikes, along the membrane. Understanding the properties of the neuronal membrane is essential, but understanding just these properties isn't sufficient to give us insight into collective behavior of the billions of connected neurons in our brains. Luckily for us, we can approach neuroscience at many different scales and levels of analysis, and we don't have to confront the full complexity of everything all at once. That's what we'll be exploring throughout the rest of this course as we slowly go from our understanding of single molecules, such as ion channels, to the electrical behavior of neurons, to their collective behavior in small circuits, and finally onto how they become organized in large functional regions of the brain. Let's start simple though. Since we've examined one neuron, a logical next question is, how did two neurons connect with one another? We'll first examine some basic cellular anatomy of neurons. So far, we haven't made too much of the fact that the majority of neurons are polarized cells. That is, they have one portion of the cell for receiving inputs and another portion for sending outputs. The parts of the cells that are specialized for receiving inputs from other cells are called dendrites. The word dendrite comes from the Greek word dendron, meaning tree, and as you can see, the dendrites have a branching, tree-like structure. A signal received by a dendrite is passed to the cell body. If there is sufficient depolarization of the cell body membrane to initiate an action potential, then an action potential is sent down the axon. The axon then carries the propagating action potential to another neuron. So what actually happens at the boundary between two neurons, between the axon of one neuron and the dendrite of another? This interface is called a synapse. There are two general types of synapses: electrical synapses and chemical synapses. Electrical synapses are less common in our own nervous systems, but they're simpler to think about, so let's start with them. Electrical synapses are basically pores between two cells that allow ions to pass through. They allow the passage of the electrical signal through to a neighboring cell without much fuss. It's not so different than just combining two cells into one larger cell. There are lots of reasons that nature might need synapses like this from time to time. They're fast and they allow cells to couple together with a high degree of synchronicity. But most neurons are connected together by a much more complicated structure called a chemical synapse. In a chemical synapse, rather than simply passing along an electrical signal from one cell to another, the action potential travels to the end of the axon and causes a chemical to be released into a very small space between the two neurons called the synaptic cleft. This chemical is taken up by the downstream neuron on the other side of the cleft. This chemical signal can cause the downstream neuron to depolarize its membrane, converting the chemical signal back into an electrical one. Or it can have other effects on the cell. This chemical step is slower than transmission across an electrical synapse, but it opens up an enormously diverse repertoire of different and more complex kinds of signaling. And synaptic function plays a critical role in computations performed by neurons. We'll spend the rest of this unit exploring the inner workings of chemical synapses, on our way to beginning to look at how networks of interconnected neurons give rise to behavior. We'll also look at the role of defective synaptic physiology in neurological and psychiatric disorders, and we'll see how synapses can be targeted by various psychoactive drugs and poisons. Finally, we'll wrap up by looking at how synapses can change over time in response to external stimuli, playing a foundational role in how we learn and remember.
Well, as you could see, you create synapse and then two neurons are linked together. But when we learn something, there are many connections. And this image is the network of reading, for reading. So as you can see, these are all the networks that are created for reading. So the yellow ones are the networks that have access to pronunciation and articulation. I'm going to talk a little bit about those areas of the brain, about pronunciation and articulation in a minute. And then we have in here, this part of the brain, top-down attending and serial reading. We have the visual inputs. This part of the brain is very related to the eyes. So what you see goes over here. That is why you have the visual inputs. You have the visual word form area. What some people say the brain's letterbox. And then we have access to meaning. That in here is where we have the semantical memory. So in all this network is for reading. So for all the knowledge and for all the memories, this is how it is created. All the knowledge and all the memory is through networks. Like this. Lots and lots and lots of networks. So I'm going to tell you some factors, well, the brain learning factors. One of them are feelings and emotions. So you're going to remember things or you're going to learn things according to your emotions. If you are happy, it was very happy for you and you were very passionate about it, you're going to remember that thing. Same happens with very strong feelings. For example, if you are very scared, you are going to remember that like forever. Also, it's motivation. If you have a purpose for doing that, if you feel that it is you, if you find that something is useful, you are going to learn better. If people is going to tell you like, wow, you're very intelligent, you speak 4 languages, well, you're gonna feel like great and you're going to have motivation, external motivation. You are going to learn better. And there are some other external factors like social interaction. If you have good friends, if you have a non-toxic relationship, well, you're going to learn better. Also, what you eat is very related to how the brain learns, how the brain can learn better if you eat properly. Then also physical exercise, as you listened before, doing exercise, it helps a lot learn better. And also sleeping, good sleeping habits, at least 7 hours. And it is different when you are a kid and when you are a grown-up and when you are an old person, but basically 6 to 8 is the amount of hours that you must sleep. But not because you slept 8 hours, it means that you rest 8 hours. But that's another topic. Well, also, when people learn, there is something, when you create lots of these networks, there is something that is called neuroplasticity. And there are many things that say, how can neuroplasticity works and that stuff? Well, I have a video that explains very carefully and spectacularly how the neural plasticity works, and it is amazing. So let's see it.
Hey, dear Jody. Then, about 6 weeks after her 3rd birthday, a storm of epileptic seizures took control of her brain.
She couldn't use her left arm hardly at all. She could barely use the left leg, seizing a good deal of the time, multiple types of seizures.
Ordinary life became impossible. Medicines did nothing, and the seizures threatened to turn fatal. Desperate, Jody's parents brought her to pediatric neurologist Eileen Vining.
We found her seizures were all coming from her right hemisphere. And we knew that there is virtually nothing else, nothing but Rasmussen syndrome that can produce that picture in a young child.
Rasmussen syndrome is a degenerative brain disorder that disrupts the electrical activity that makes our brains work. Tiny electrical explosions were flaring up in Jody's right hemisphere. As seizures became almost constant, she lost control of her left side. Only one radical treatment option remained.
We knew that she was never going to have her seizures controlled with medicine, and we knew that she and her family faced taking out that half of the brain.
Okay. Dr. Vining recommended a daring surgery called a hemispherectomy. It would be performed by pediatric neurosurgeon Ben Carson.
The whole concept of taking out half of a person's brain would seem to most people impossible. Human beings are incredible creatures with a brain that is beyond belief in terms of its capabilities, to the point where we can take half of it out and still function in a normal way.
85% of our brain consists of the cerebral cortex, which is divided into 2 hemispheres, each with 4 main lobes. The cortex handles many of our higher functions. Areas on both sides control thinking, movement, and sensation. But the right side controls our left side and vice versa. Jody would lose almost all of her right hemisphere, and the cavity would fill with cerebrospinal fluid. The operation has to be performed with great precision to avoid damaging the parts of the brain that control Jodi's life functions, like heartbeat and breathing. The surgery went flawlessly.
What we're looking at here is an image, an MRI, that was done on Jodi after her surgery. And what it shows us is the fact that we removed her entire right hemisphere. And what we're able to see here is indeed her very normal left hemisphere and all the beautiful gyri of her cortex. And we can see right down the middle, the right hemisphere that was there is now replaced by fluid.
But how could Jodi function normally with only one hemisphere? It's because of a miraculous ability of the brain called plasticity. Our brains can actually change shape, creating new connections between neurons or brain cells to replace lost or damaged ones. Jodi's left brain started reconnecting almost immediately.
At least as good as this. And if I remember, he wore pink just like you. This young lady had half her brain removed, went home, I guess maybe 10 days later, and was already walking. She was ambulating. She was able to walk out of the hospital. And that's because her left hemisphere had such resilience, such plasticity. It was able to say, okay, something needs to move her left leg. Whoa. You gonna open it? Okay.
Jodi continues to work on training her brain to overcome the slight paralysis in her left side.
But enough. Now that's very good. You need to do that stretching stuff, honey. You know that, don't you? Are you doing enough of it? I think so.
The human brain is just an awesome thing because every time I look at it, I say to myself, this is the thing that makes this person unique. It still is just such a wonderful thing to find a young person whose life now can move on, who's no longer having seizures, who's developing in a normal fashion. I take the good with the bad, and I say, this is a bad thing, potentially, that we have to do for an extremely good cause.
So, as you could see in this video, we have brain plasticity. In this case, is extraordinary because half of the brain was removed and then it worked. So when you are very young, you have this power of brain plasticity, like super strong. When you get, or when you are 30 years old, after 30 years old, your brain starts to get old. So it doesn't mean that you are not going to have this powerful brain. It is going to be working, but not at the same pace.
Miguel.
Yes.
Allow me to say something.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir.
I don't know, have you heard of the feral child, the feral children?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, I don't know if you have heard before the feral children. The feral children, they live in completely wilderness.
No, I never.
All right, there's some scientific researchers have done about it, and they said that they confront one feral child with a guy, a children who grew up in a family with normal, you can see some difference, but obviously with education, with some psychologist studios, they can interact in the new society, in the new surrounding.
Amazing, right?
Maybe later on I can give you some videos or links about the feral children.
I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yeah, as you just mentioned, brain is just amazing and incredible. Yeah, it is. I would love that you shared that video with me or all those documents with me. Thank you. And well, as we saw, brain is just amazing. But let me tell you, or let me go on with this presentation, and let me tell you that Corvinian Brodmann was a German neurologist who became famous for mapping the cerebral cortex and defining 52 distinct regions known as Brodmann areas based on their architectonic characteristics. And these are the 52 areas of the brain that were designed by Brodmann. From those 52 areas, there are two areas that are very important for English teachers. One that is the broadcast area, and the other one that is the Wernicke's area. In this area, or in this part of the brain, is where language is understood. And in this part of the brain, it is where the language is produced. So this is like the input, and this is the output. And well, now we have to make a fusion of what neuroeducation is with English language teaching. And we all understand that language acquisition is the process by which humans acquire the capacity to perceive and comprehend language, as well as to produce and use words and sentences to communicate. Language acquisition involves structures, rules, and representation. And we all know that these are the most popular theories about language acquisition, like behaviorism, nativism, monitor theory, and social constructivism. And I don't want to spend time of this presentation talking about this because you probably know lots about this. But let me tell you, or let me show you this image where there's a native language that is Spanish. This is the areas that are working. But when you speak English as a second language, look, all the parts of the brain that are working. So it means that when you speak another language, your brain works better. Sorry? Okay. So, as you know, there are several types of bilingualism. The first one, the compound bilingual, is, for example, well, it is one semantic system for two codes, just like the image. Probably if you were born in a place where you speak two languages, well, you only have one semantic system, even though you have two codes. Just like the example, you can say apple and manzana, and it is just the same. But for people who learn English as a second language or as a foreign language, well, we consider ourselves like coordinate bilinguals because we have two semantic systems and two codes. Very, very, very beginners are considered subordinate bilinguals because at the very beginning you translate everything to understand meaning. What we need to improve as teachers is to become coordinate bilinguals, or if possible, become a compound bilingual. So something that I really want to make emphasis about is this, what Mora says. The brain only learns if there is emotion. You can learn what you don't love. So emotions are very important, as well as to have a purpose. If you have these two things, you can have lots of neural networks. If you are not very interested, well, probably you're going to learn. Well, for sure you're going to learn. The point is, are you going to remember what you learn? And if you have no purpose, like, I'm going to study to become a chef. But I hate cooking and I will never cook. So there's no purpose. You are going to learn, but you are not going to remember that. So the purpose as English language teachers is to generate more neural stimulation so we can have more networks, neuronal networks. How can we get that? Well, first of all, you have to remember that these things about, oh, you are visual, oh, you are kinesthetic. So I'm gonna teach English just the visual way. That is not going to work. Remember that our brain works all together with lots of networks. So you have to mix them all at the same time, all the time. For example, in here, if I only say the sound, well, I'm gonna say the sound ba, 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 ba. But you probably listen something different like that. And if you don't listen, but if you only see me, you probably are going to think that is a ga. What does this mean? That you can see something and think something, and you can listen to something and think about something very different. So this is how the brain works. You cannot only focus on one thing, like visual, 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 music, 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 kinesthetic, kinesthetic, kinesthetic. No, you have to mix them all the time. The more you mix them, the most neural networks you are going to have. For example, when teaching vocabulary, if you have your flashcard and it says coffee, well, you see it and you listen to it, that's one connection. But what happens if you have real coffee up there and you touch it? You have another network. You see it, you listen to it, and you can touch it. What happens if you can smell it? Coffee. So you have another network. That is how knowledge can be improved, like using several networks to learn. And I'm going to give you some tips to improve your teaching style and to improve language acquisition. The first one is the implementation of didactic games in the class to reinforce topics, the use of music, images, objects, group interaction, information and technologies. This is very important. Technology. Like, they have lots of stimulus in the brain. Like, you can have lots of networks using technology the proper way. So these things might promote positive attitudes toward learning in accordance with brain biology to learn. Another tip that I can give you is that the brain stimulation that is generated through a teacher-student relationship, where the exchange of significant emotions, the teacher is able to raise the student's attention and curiosity, the development of mental capacities, and the neural networks that support them. So when you have these students, if you want to improve learning and language acquisition, you have to have a relationship. Probably not becoming best friends, but do have a relation. This is how you transfer emotions. And if you transfer emotions and your students know that you know his name, her name, or that you remember something that he said, it's going to improve language acquisition. Not only like, this is the class, blah, 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 and you don't care about what your students feel or what your students think or about their comments. No, do care and try to talk with them about what they like, what they don't like, and what they prefer to do. And finally, this one that is very important, that is mindfulness-based practices, have been promoted as a promising way to reduce stress and anxiety in students and improve their academic and behavioral outcomes. Using surveys administered to middle school students attending schools participating in the Boston Child Research Collaborative, we learned that greater self-reported mindfulness correlates significantly with a better academic achievement and behavioral outcomes. So what does mindfulness mean? Like, it's kind of easy if I explain it this way. when you come to your class, to your English class, probably you have lots of things here in your brain, like, what am I going to cook? What am I going to do with my girlfriend at night? How am I going to spend my money? Or what am I going to do? I don't have any money right now. So you are thinking and thinking and thinking, and your brain is working and working and working. And then you want to learn something, it's kind of difficult because the brain is already busy. So when you practice mindfulness, that can be like, okay, just at the beginning of the class, let's close your eyes and let's breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, and set your students in the moment. So all the brain activity is focused on the class. There's no more stress about what is happening outside or all the activities that you have to do after class or before class and everything. And now the brain is ready to learn because now it has a space to learn. I hope this is clear for you. But what happens in the traditional path of teaching English? You have a lesson plan or a scheme of work, or if you can do it, it's good, but sometimes it is given you by the coordinator of the principal, and you have to follow this very strictly. And then you just go to the assessment part and you say, you're a good student, you're not a good student, you're a good student, you're not a good student. This doesn't work. So, once I listened to an interview that was done to Mr. Noam Chomsky, and there was a question for him that, Mr. Chomsky, tell us, what is the best methodology to teach English? And he said, you can use any of them, but the most important thing is keep your student motivated. So what can we do in order to keep our student motivated? First of all, what I say or what I call is the educational path. So first you meet your students. You get to know what they do, what they like to do in the class, if they love to read, if they love to move, if they like to listen to some stories. Then when you meet them and you know your students, now you plan. You create your lesson plan and you say, okay, most of my students love to talk, or they love to touch things, or they like visuals, so I'm going to make my planning. And then you make some experiments to assess their knowledge, and if they have good results, well, you keep doing the same thing. If it doesn't have good results, well, you plan one more time and you make all the changes that you have to do. And that is what I consider is a better path to teach English. So right now I work for this company that is called Smart English. And the owner and CEO of the company, Jim Clark, says this, and in my opinion, it is amazing. The world depends on educators who embrace innovative teaching methods and new technologies. They are leading the way in preparing students for the future. So we're living very crazy times with all this of the pandemic, and it is very hard to live this world. Probably in the past was the same, but the only thing that can make a different world is education. And you're from Latin America as me. So speaking English can change our future, our society. So I invite you to learn more about this, try to improve your teaching style so your students can benefit of your teaching, and then you can have a much better society and a better world. Probably this is very romantic, but we can contribute to have a better country and a better world. So I'm going to share my screen again, just to let you know. When I have these presentations, at the very end, most of the people tell me, oh, can you share your slides with me? Or can I have the presentation? Yes, you can. If you scan this QR, you're going to find the presentation, but also you can have access to my doctoral paper, my thesis. And also you are going to have access to lots of articles about neuroeducation, brain, neuroscience, neurodidactics. Well, you are going to find lots of articles. So the very first time I got into my PhD studies, it was very hard to go to the library or to surf the internet and look and find interesting articles. Well, I shared these articles with you if you are interested in researching on this, or if you're interested in knowing more about neuroeducation, neurosciences, and all this stuff. Well, I share them for you for free, like read them, enjoy them, and make them useful. I'm going to give you also my personal email. So if you want to know more about this, there was Dark Man who told me that he was going to share something with me. Well, you can email me, or you can just WhatsApp me or call me. This is my
For sure.
And well,
for sure, I'll do it. And actually, I wrote it in the chat on this Zoom platform.
Perfect.
But anyway, I'm going to write you to your email.
Thank you. And for the winners of the Kahoot game, the 3 winners, can you please write me an email and tell me, yeah, I was the winner, and I can give you the free 6 months license to use Smart English. And if anyone wants to have a 1 month free trial, I can also give you one access for free for 1 month. So
well, I'm very sorry I couldn't make it earlier. So how can I get this wonderful presentation, please?
Oh, I'm going to share my screen again so you can scan the QR. There you are.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
Mr. Miguel.
Nice presentation.
Sorry that I interrupt you, Mr. Miguel. I think Karen, she's raising her hand. She would say something. Hi, Karen. Would you like to ask something about Miguel's presentation?
Hello, Andres. Hello, everybody. Hello, Miguel. So nice to meet you. I'm so sorry if you listen to me, but I have COVID right now. So, but anyway, so I hope that you can understand me. So I like just to add something, that everything is possible, since I am a living person believing in neurology, in neuroplasticity. Because I suffer from that. And even I started a video that you showed us before. So sadly, I couldn't have a brain surgery. However, I could handle every time. I could handle my illness every time that doctors tell me that I couldn't study. I used to tell them, why can't I study? I am good at it. So why do you keep me stop and doing something that I really like to know? So then, okay, Karen, you can study only the primary. And I said, then, okay. Then when I went to the doctor again, oh, Karen, are you studying the high school? Yeah, I'm studying the high school. And then when I turned 18, they told me, okay, you can go to university. Why can I go to university? I want to study. I want to move on. And even for a while, so it was like a dilemma for me. But I didn't know that I have already developed the neuroplasticity. So, and that, as you said, it was so early since neuroscience started related with education. So my doctors tell me, and now they tell me, hey, Karen, I can't believe how you are able to, and even to learn another language. And I said, I don't know, honestly, but I just like it and I just did it. So, and even I was able to travel to some countries around the world. And it doesn't, sorry. So what I mean is that there's doctors, neurologists, scientists, since they think that the brain is just, they have studied just a little bit of it, because they, even and the doctor said, one of the doctors in the video said that the brain have a million branches that they don't understand yet, even for them that they are doctors and then neurologists that scientists are investigating the whole time. So, but as you said, I've learned. So I am a linguistic teacher too. So I've known about what you're talking about, and even I want to do a research about. I started a research 5 years ago, but because of my little things on my health, so I couldn't do it. But I am thinking that I'm return my studies in myself, because as I said before, I am a living person believing in the neuroplasticity, and I know how brains can work, and even it really works. And even when I go to my classes, so feelings and emotions, I know for sure that they are the best way that you can teach, and even you can get in touch with your student. So even many through time, there are many people, many researchers in education that they have tried, like Noam Chomsky, like Gardner, that when he discovered the different part of intelligence, but now we know for sure, for facts, that is not true. So it depends on the environment that we are in the environment that we are living in, and the environment we have grown up. So all those things have made me that I've grow up like a normal person, because I am normal. So, and everything starts because of our brain. So our brain is the marvelous thing that we can have in our body, and even that we are, all of us, we are marvelous and amazing human beings on earth. Thank you very much, Andres, and thanks, Miguel, for letting me the opportunity to talk.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's very interesting. And congratulations for being so strong.
Thank you so much, dear audience, for being here and interact with Dr. Miguel, this interesting and relevant topic about neuroeducation. So, in my opinion, I didn't read too much about this topic, but I think that I learned a lot this morning. So, I was taking some notes about hearing you as Karen said. Now, so in linguistics, there is a branch of the English language. So there, I remember once when I read one book, they were talking about the areas. Now I remember that part. They were talking about the different areas of the brain when they
and Wernicke's.
Yeah, the Wilkins and the Broca's area. I remember now, so that's very interesting. So, if you have any question, dear partners, in order to have our last photo of presentation.
I'd like to say something, and even I think that most of teachers, not only English teacher, they have learned how to teach and how to get to their students, but the truth is that they don't know where those ideas came from. So those ideas came from their brain, from what Miguel just said, and from the other scientists and researchers in education are doing right now. So it is brand new. It's only 20 years ago that this scientific are starting to research. So, and even people like Miguel and others that are researching these parts on neuroeducation. So I think that, I don't know, I think that a physiologist, that he was first a neurologist, is a Spanish man. He told that we are in a new culture. So in this new culture is neuroscience. So, those teachers that said, hey, this way I can control my student. I think that I'm getting of that. I'm giving them enough information, and they are creating. And sometimes they say, wow, I don't understand why my student, they just come out of the blue. They just turn on in a significant meaning in a complex decisions, or I don't remember the whole word right now, but I think that this kind of information will lead to all of the teachers or non-teacher, even parents should know about this, because parents know better their children than us. So if they start as a teacher and we start talking to them in a way that doesn't involve the word brain, because when people listen to the word brain, they just think that, okay, I am a weirdo, or I am something like that, but it is not true. So we have to understand that our brain is the mother of our body. So so I really like that more people and even parents. So there is a suggestion, Andres, that parents that not necessary to be teacher, they should understand this kind of research or new things that Miguel studied and did his research. And thank you very much. I'm going to look for your information. I'm going to look for your papers, Miguel. So because I'm really interested, sorry. And I am sick, but I am so passionate for this topic, and even I told Andres, so that's why even I am a little sick. Well, I am not a little sick, I'm really sick right now, but anyway, so, but look, I have COVID and my brain is working, and I'm speaking in English where I have fever. So you know what? That is the way how brain helps you. And even you are speaking another language, same as you're sick, and you're speaking English as a second language. And even I have another health complication, but anyway, I'm here. Thank you very much. That's it. I'm going to tell. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Even if you're sick, you were here. Thank you. I really appreciate it for taking the time. Thank you.
I just want to say something else.
Thank you so much, dear Karen, for your contribution. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Eduardo. No, it's great to hear you, Karen, the way that you have voluntarily speaking. No, so in spite of your illness now, no. Go ahead. Sorry, Sergio, you will say something.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for the invitation. It is very interesting points, because as our colleague says, it's very important to know how the importance of our brain works, so we can learn more languages than only not English, other language as well. That always helps our brain to get better and have more connections, because as I think that if we learn only one language, it is always helping us to get more information about, for example, Quechua or other language as well. We can communicate with other people. And that point that our colleague says is very important. How to use our brain. The more we will use, the more connections we will get. That's my point of view.
Thank you so much, Eduardo, for your input in this topic.
It's very interesting point. I just really love it. Thank you, Miguel.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for taking the time. And if you find it interesting, I hope you can have texting or sending us emails and share more information about this. Thank you, Sergio.
Okay.
Wow, Miguel, I'm really surprised about the way that the teachers here interact with you. For example, Karen's contributed a lot. Well, Sergio too, and well, I have reading all the text messages in the book in the inbox, and a teacher says thank you, congrats. Well, so there's an ocean of thousands of good positive messages for your presentations. From my part, it would be an excellent presentation, Miguel. Thank you for your contribution to be here.
No, thank you. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for the time. Sometimes when you are a kid, you never imagine what can happen in the future. And now that you are studying a PhD, it seems like no one cares about what you're doing. And having these places or spaces to talk about this is just amazing for me, because it means that what I have been reading is interesting or it's helpful for another person. So thank you, Andres. Thank you.
And my best wishes for your research in your PhD. So I have you gotta have a good contribution, not only in neuroeducation in your country, in Mexico. I think it's around the world, no? Because science is for contributing in the world we live in, no? Great job, Miguel. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all the people who is writing in the chat, like, congratulations, it was a nice topic. Thank you very much. And for all the people who has sent me emails, thank you. It's just an honor. It's very motivating and inspiring for me. Thank you.
Now, in this moment, please, dear partners, this is the moment of our special guest. We're going to say goodbye, but before, please, we are going to take a picture. Please show your cameras if you can. In case you can't, no problem, I understand. But we are going to have a happy face, no? In order to have a last picture for a camera. All right, please show you. Hello. Hi, Judith. Nice to see you, Lucia. Hello, Julissa, Candida. Congratulations, Julissa. You are the winner, no? In the Cahil's game.
Thank you. Felicitaciones, Julissa.
Julissa, you are an
Muchas gracias, mi Rosana.
Miss Julissa, you are from Peru, no?
Yes, Lima, Peru.
Good. I send my greetings to everybody there, okay? Well, my dear
Andres,
teachers.
thank you very much.
Hello,
Mr.
Roxanita.
Miguel. You know, this is a deep topic, but we have to take into consideration because we work with students, and if we cover, investigate, read about this topic, we are going to have better classes because we are going to understand all of our students. Thank you, Mr. Campos. It was a great presentation with great information. Thanks, Andres.
My pleasure, Miss. Okay, dear teacher, so give me your best smile for this picture. Mr. Miguel, too, everybody. Hello, we say webinars.
Webinars.
Good afternoon. Can I say something?
Okay,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Ravicho. Hello, everybody. So, thank you so
Hello.
much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wish have an excellent day. Greetings from warm Santo Domingo, Ecuador, from the Sáchilas province. And we are talking about an important issue today. So this might be not only for one day, but we can do it another time with some more things that we could share. Thank you, Miguel, for your nice explaining. I'm sorry to be late, of course, but I just want to say that talking about neurological thing is the way that our brain reacts to every situation, not just only home, not just even in class, not even just only at work, but on all your moments, decisions that you take in the life, in every minute that you walk. So your brain automatically tries to find a way to solve every situation that you are facing, and how to overcome any kind of difficulties. So, well, students emotionally or eagerly try to enhance their situation according to their level or the way that they could manage the situation around them. For example, there are some problems that we are facing because of the lockdown of this pandemic situation that was creating problems according to the sickness, illnesses, and ways to be conducting about our behavior. So some of them are struggle with these points, and we can help as teachers to solve them. We need to pay attention on some of their reactions. They need to be guide for improving better their attitudes toward the learning, because some of them parents to be aware that schools are not like in a nursery, because we are just only teaching their kids. So we need to help them to avoid the extra charge work thing, and we have to split teacher, student, parents, authorities, so everybody could deal and help to develop the reactions of and making solving the problems of this tendency that is don't approach on them, don't kiss, don't hug, don't, everything is a don't. Okay, so we need to make them a positive way to face. It's just only for greeting or.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I hope you have a wonderful time. Thank you so much. And we are going to keep in touch. Thank you for the people who send the links, your emails, and we are going to send you the next webinars now that we are going to have in the future. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, dear partners. Thank you for being here. Now have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Goodbye.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Goodbye.